Hello friends, my name is Muddiness, and today I'll be reviewing City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is a beloved series, I know. The fans out there are real, I get it. This review probably is not for you if you count yourself among those people. I did not like this book. I don't think that it was a good book. Please don't be mean in the comments because I'm about to express those opinions that I'm warning you I'm about to express. Okay, so I originally read this book in 2011 or 2012 during a time where I was at a job that was a little bit boring and I was reading about a book a day. Even at that speed, I considered this book to be subpar and I would have given it about a 3 stars. But I hated that ending so passionately that I immediately took to the internet and spoiled myself for the next couple of books because I just resented that ending so much. Even so, I kind of had in my head that I would try and continue with the series just because I had heard such great things about it and I was reading it with a friend, but I ended up picking up the second book and reading not a lot, probably like a chapter, but I was like bored to tears, so I DNF'd. Even with that experience, I think that I was at a point that I wasn't reading as critically as I am now, and I was just so interested in what the fandom saw in the series that a couple years later I ended up trying this again. I tried to reread the first book, but that didn't go very well, and again I was just kind of bored by it and I put it aside. Because of those experiences, I had a feeling that this would be a great book to live tweet. I thought that there would be a lot of material to choose from, that the kind of boredom aspect of it would be combated by live tweeting and interacting with you all as I read it, and so that's what I decided to do a couple of months ago. I was in the mood to live tweet, to snark something, and I picked this. Now, I went into this knowing the major plot points, or at least vaguely remembering it, and knowing that I would not enjoy the story itself, even if I did enjoy the crap out of snarking it. My first time reading it, I feel like I enjoyed portions of it, specifically the character interactions and some of the dialogue. Now, even more intensely aged out of the target demographic. Even those things that I once found charming and entertaining have lost their luster. I can admit that this book is not for me in a lot of ways, but I can also say that there are a lot of books that aren't for me that I read and enjoy, and to not really beat around the bush here, I think that this is just not a good book quality-wise. Firstly, I think that the characters are intolerable and badly developed. Clary is a cut-and-dry trope of the YA of that time. She's got a best friend that she spends pretty much the entirety of the book ignoring or forgetting about or dismissing. She makes negative comments about the other female characters in the book, specifically about their beauty. She doesn't know that she's beautiful, and that's what makes her beautiful. She goes through really bad, terrible things, but always has time to pause and notice the main love interest eyes and the way that they reflect the light in the middle of all the carnage. She's thick-headed, and her obtuseness is what kind of measures the tempo of the plot and keeps it at bay, so it then in turn makes the plot seem super thin and laughable. We as the reader are hit over the head with these storytelling anvils, but then we have to wait pages and pages for Clary to catch up, and it becomes an almost painful experience to have to watch her realize these things, and only truly because they are spelled out for her in an even more painful way. She was incredibly self-absorbed. She always came off as very complainy to me, and she always just seemed to be focused on the wrong thing. Those little things over and over again added up to me, and they just made a picture of a very unlikable Clary. I had no reason to root for her, and there was no connection for me to the story through her. If Clary is bad, then Jace is awful. I mean, just truly awful, but again, a classic trope of a YA bad boy with a tragic past. I will never understand this idea of showing your audience that love between your two main characters is true because the male is mean to everyone else that he meets. But alas, that's what happens here. He's not mean to Clary for a few sentences every other scene. Why does anyone like him? And why would I be rooting for him with our main character? He has no respect for her as a person. He has no respect for her privacy, for her relationships, for the people and the things that she loves. Is there anything that I hate more than perpetuating this idea of rudeness as sexy? And I'm not reading into this. I will read you another example. Tell me, is he always really rude, or does he save that for mundanes? Oh, he's rude to everyone, said Isabel airily. It's what makes him so damn sexy. if Clary is bad and Jace is awful, the writing is terrible. Not only in like a full of tropes kind of way, but it was full of descriptions that were completely contradictory or didn't make any damn sense. It was stuff full of ridiculous similes, and we were told the color of every damn thing. Apparently, Claire's idea of description is just making sure you know what color everything in the scene is. Because Clary is new to the Shadowhunters world, it means that Claire gets away with doing a lot of her world building through exposition, and not the exposition that is needed and expected in a narrative. We're talking about characters speaking to a demon and saying things to the demon like, you know what a demon is, right? And then defining what a demon is. Clearly, I just did not understand a lot of the love that was here. I think maybe a portion of that love is nostalgia for people who read this in its heyday, when a lot of the YA literature looked very similar to what Claire was doing. I don't think that it aged well at all. I don't think it's very good quality. And even some of the things that were better, like some of the dialogue was okay to me, but I thought it was so misplaced within the story itself. It always came at these inopportune times, and I think the bigness of the world that Claire created around these characters wasn't always conducive to the lightheartedness that she then wanted to inject into the story. And I feel like you can absolutely play with those two things, like grimness and lightheartedness, but I don't think that Claire had the ease and the grace and the skill to make it work for me always. To me, it more seemed like that whole idea of like being surrounded by carnage and noticing your love interest, or being surrounded by carnage, your mom just got kidnapped. All of these things are being revealed to you and you crack a joke, and it seemed mistimed rather than something that I appreciated. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of why I didn't like this book, and it's a little bit more concrete than just kind of hating on it because it's popular. I have given this series multiple tries. I watched the movie adaptation in theater. I saw the first episode of the TV adaptation. Both of those things were horrible, and I think the struggles to adapt this material really speaks to the weakness of the story and the structure of the story. I think it has elements of worlds, but I don't think that the plot or that the characters are complex or 3D enough to really give good adaptation material. And I think we keep seeing that in failed adaptations. Now, I haven't seen the rest of the TV show. I don't know if it's gotten better, and if it has gotten better because it strayed from the source material. So that would be interesting to take a look at, but that's just kind of my idea of why this keeps failing. I'm not sure why people keep giving it a chance, but that, I guess, is good news for fans of the material. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I had a lot more while I was live tweeting, and I picked out a lot more examples of some of the things that I've mentioned here. So if you're interested, you can take a look at the whole thread with the hashtag City of Snark, which I will be using the same hashtag if and when I decide to move on to the second book. If you have any thoughts about this book and about this review, I'd love to chat with you down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys soon. For those of you who feel tempted to ask me if I knew I wasn't gonna like it, why did I read it? That's a discussion for another day, but I did have fun live tweeting it, and I obviously get something out of making these reviews, and the entire experience of consuming a book is more than just whether or not you like the material found inside of the book. So, like I said, another discussion for another day.